Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Christina. Hi, Leah, Lauren, Kayla, Cindy. How are you guys doing today? Let me open my stuff up here so I can see. Kate. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. All good. Yeah. I think it's earlier for you than it is for me, Cindy. Good morning. Oh my gosh, are you guys excited? I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm not gonna lie. Giving myself this much leeway is probably a mistake because my notes get a little aggressive, but hi. I put like a little, you guys know me, like I hate Canvas slides, but I was like, if I have Canvas slides, then it kind of forces me not to make this 4 hours. So I have some slides for you guys today. Hi, Christina. Um, and Jess will try to keep this as succinct and potent as possible. But welcome to Chokehold Copy. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. It's gonna be good. I'm gonna give it like just 2 minutes and we'll kick off. But did any of you guys have any kind of like, because I feel like I started talking about this at the beginning of the month, maybe pretty close, right? Did anybody have any revelations when we talked about like the two main things with what actually gets your content to convert and land and like the movie trailer idea? Um, because I know I had a couple clients message me and we have been talking like chokehold content all month. And everybody wants like a formula, like a plug and play. I'm going to give you, you just caught up on it today. Perfect. That's exactly what you need to do. Don't get ahead of yourself. And I'm going to give you guys like some things that I really use for my content, but honestly, this is retroactive. I'll be so fucking honest right off the bat. It's like for me when I look at okay, what works for me, what converts for me, why do people find binge buy? It's not because I had yes, exactly. Made me realize there's some shitty movie trailers and just as much there's shitty content. So like when I'm creating, I don't have like a framework in my head, right? Like I'm not like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that my hook has this. I broke it down for you guys so that you understand like what grabs people's attention because obviously you're not here because you make shitty content and you don't know how to write good copy. But ultimately it's about, okay, but how do we grab attention long enough for people to actually see the value of working with you and build enough certainty and trust in that piece of content that they want to move. And I'm going to give you a lot today on like how I do this, but I just want to be totally, are we recording too? That's the other thing I probably should do. Oh, we are. Okay, good. I just want to be totally upfront with like, I don't want you to get fucked in the head when it comes to creating content because this happens a lot where people are like, well, I need a framework. Now I'm going to follow the framework and now I'm going to go create. And then all the juice is pulled out of it. You already have good stuff that you're creating. Okay. This is what I'm missing. Can't seem to understand how to make it convert. Yeah. We're going to talk about that a lot today. Okay. I'm not going to give you like this is not a full content workshop. This is how do we get people to stick around long enough to get the value so that they understand why working with you is the number one decision that they need to make. So before I keep babbling along, I'm gonna probably just open up the slides and we'll get going. I was just looking at the chat. Really bad movie trailers, that's what I'm missing. Can't see. Yeah, okay. So let's do this. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. And we're gonna open her up so I can see everything as well. And I want to be able to see you guys, the chat as well. Hold on. There it is. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Okay. Okay. So that's what I was kind of getting into is like, why are you here? And this was one of the posts that I put out very early on about chokehold copy. And you already have a body of work, right? Like you have the offers, you actually probably have done a bunch of different workshops for messaging and content. Maybe you've been in some of mine, but what we're going to talk about today is grabbing attention, what's required, and then actually articulating the value of your offers enough that people get it. They don't have to have 100 different taste testers in your world in order to want to buy, right? Like your sales are leaky because of this. And number one, it's going to be because your content might match the voltage of like what you offer your clients behind the scenes, but people aren't sticking around long enough to find that out, or because your positioning just isn't punching as hard as you do behind the scenes with your clients. Okay. Like the way that you actually show up isn't converting. That's the wrong word to use, isn't actually articulated in the content enough. Okay. So does anyone feel like they have this disconnect? And what disconnect is that for you? Do you feel like your content is spicy, it's out there, it's savage, it's you, it's very authentic, but for whatever reason, people don't feel that enough to buy? Or is it that there's a disconnect between how incredible the conversations you are having behind closed doors with clients aren't actually being demonstrated in the content? Like these are the disconnects that I see with people. I feel like that's what I have going on. Yes, yes. Okay. The second one. Yeah, okay. Like for me personally, for the longest time, it was very much, I just feel like I'm having the most incredible conversations, doing the most amazing shit behind the scenes with my clients. Like I'm confident in my work. And for some reason, it just isn't landing in the content. And so, like, discernment, you're never going to be able to capture an entire human and the entire value of your containers in the content. Otherwise, why would people work with you? But ultimately, there's so much work we can do on this to get people to a place where they actually feel 100% certain that you're the person they want to do this work with, right? Problems, there's not even a conversation happening at this point. Not landing in the content feels like the first one. The second one for me, I feel like that's, yeah, okay, cool. So what happens with this, if this is your problem, right, is you get stuck in this loop of going, okay, well, I need to run another free thing. I need to run another offer, right? This is the gap that we're closing. Because if I had, oh my gosh, money for the amount of times that people say to me, like, once they're in forever. Once they're in, they're obsessed, right? Does anybody also get that? Like, where you're like, oh my God, as soon as people get a taste of my work, they are bought in for good. Just give me like a yes in the chat if that's you. Like, once people work with you, they're bought in, they're done. I also feel my limp fish content is now also creating leaks in the coaching combos. What do you mean limp fish content? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool. Okay. So we're gonna close this gap. That's what we're doing today. And yeah, dead fish content. That's what I thought. I just wanted to. um you know, people right now, they need to experience your world and your work to be bought in. And what we want to do is we want to have the content do enough of the heavy lifting for you that that's a light lift for you, that people don't need all of this coaxing, all of these micro programs, like all of this, like walking into your world before they actually buy, especially before they actually invest higher ticket. I know, it's so funny. Limp. I know, I was like, is it limp dick or dead fish? Okay. So here's the other thing I just want to say, which is one, I mentioned to you guys that I don't think of this in the moment as I'm creating. I'm retroactively teaching you on this, and it's important to know that and have the discernment that you already know what the fuck you're doing. We just need to refine it and make it more potent. And then the other thing that I want to be really clear about is, yes, I've had people come into my world and be like, this post made me hire you. I've had clients read my content, especially lately, and be like, this, if I wasn't already in your world, this piece of content would make me hire you. And I want to get very real. A lot of people are not going to talk about this. your content is an ecosystem. You cannot possibly build, awareness, consideration, decision level conversations in one piece of content for a buyer to literally find you and then just be like, off this one post, I'm going to spend $20,000 with this person. It's rare. Like, I'm not going to say never. So you have to have the discernment to know, okay, that your content works as an ecosystem. And the more you get better at this with multiple pieces of content, the faster people will convert, because what does happen is someone will find you off a potent piece of content, come in, see all your other pieces or a handful and binge them and buy. And it feels like this, right? So it's really fucking important to know that. Like, I'm not going to be like, this is the gold mine of content. And this is where people get really hung up mentally because they're like, this post has to be it. This is the one. And then it's crickets. There's no conversions, whatever. And they're like, oh my God, like, what am I doing wrong? It's like, bitch, your content works together. Okay. So you have to make sure that you're aware of that when we go through this. And there's 2 core fixes. I talked about them in the audio, but we're just going to like dive in a little bit more. 1, identity. Okay. Because you have to be the person that you say you are in your content. If you're not, people can smell it a mile away. I talked about this, like having relationships with people where they would always make you second guess yourself or not feel certain or maybe distrust the relationship, but they would say exactly what you wanted to hear in the moment and then they'd behave completely differently. Right? Hopefully we don't have these relationships in our lives, but like you guys have definitely had one before. That's what it feels like to your audience when you are not actually embodied, when you're not actually being the person that you want to be. And then technical hook power, which we're going to get into as well. But even if the structure's right, even if I can tell you exactly what to say, which I could tell you exactly what to say. Here's your hook, here's your caption. Okay, if the resonance isn't there because you aren't actually that person, this does not work. You want to learn how to make sales the shortcut, the fast way. Okay, that's actually being the person that you say you are. That's the fastest way you're going to make sales. There is literally no bypassing that. You cannot pretend, you cannot be the person who's like, fuck the rules. And then your content still reads like, I don't want to offend my ex's mom. Like, right? We have to be mindful. And I don't think you guys are here because you're hyper curated. I don't think you're here because you think you're holding back in your content, but there's very secret, sneaky ways that you are, which we're going to get into today. Right? It's not that your audience isn't is confused, it's that they're not convinced. And when they're not convinced, what I mean by that is they don't feel your level of conviction. Okay, so that's why we have to deal with this. If I was like, I'm going to tell you how to write fucking awesome hooks, again, it doesn't matter. It's the same problem in a different suit. You're having the problem that people aren't retained long enough to see the value of your offers and working with you. Well, if you say what you're supposed to say, but you're not being the person you are saying that you are, you're going to have the same dissonance. Okay, so really quickly before we dive into these, can you guys give me in the chat, like, you are 100% confident that the work that you do with your clients is badass? You don't have like the wobbles around whether or not it's worth it. Give me a yes or a no. The work you do helps your clients. You've had clients be like, oh my God, I fucking love working with you. You've changed my life. Like, I'm 100% confident that there's not a problem there. Getting a lot of fuck yeses. Okay, let me make sure I can see this chat. Yes, 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 yes. Fuck yes, yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here's the other thing I wanted to bring up, because a lot of the times I still see people being afraid to be super honest and blunt. And if you know that your work is really powerful, then how dare you have the audacity not to be too much? Like, not to show up and take up a shit ton of space and be overpowering, like be too much on the internet. Okay. A lot of people have a cap here where they're like, this is too obnoxious. This is too much. And when I asked if your work changes lives, you have no problem being audacious and saying, fuck yes. Well, if we want to get people in the door and serve them most, you have to make sure that you're willing to say things other people aren't willing to say. Because I'll be really honest with you, like I work with a lot of incredible people. I'm in a lot of amazing spaces. There are not a lot of people at the top who are highly successful that have the things that you deeply desire, there are not a lot of people there. There's a lot of people pretending that they're there. In reality, that's not the case. Okay. And the only way that you do this is making sure and checking with yourself. If you know your work is as important as you believe it is, okay, then how come the way you're showing up in your content and being audacious and telling the truth and being blunt and being bold and saying the things that you know you need to fucking say is a holdup for you? Okay, we need to work on this. This is an identity piece, right? And I'm not gonna, you know, work on this with you in this space, but I just wanted to call this out. You're gonna get haters. You're gonna get people calling you out. Okay, high level buyers don't want you to be polite. If you're in my world, like I talk about how deeply my clients want to be called out. They want to be tough loved. They want to be led by someone who isn't going to sugarcoat anything. If you're still playing the like, am I going to trigger someone game? Don't act surprised when you have low effort, objection-y people in your DMs that don't actually convert. Okay. And so what I want you to do for just this week as we're doing this together is I want you to commit literally today, our program runs till Sunday, to be pushing so much more of an edge than you've ever pushed before in your content. Okay? Like feral as fuck. Okay? Can we just write commit in the chat if you guys are in for this? Because I'm telling you, it's going to crack something open in you, let alone the people watching your content. But like, if you're not willing to show up in a way that's different from other people in the space, then you can't expect to have crazy, incredible, extraordinary results. And like I said, there's a lot of people saying that they have these. There's not many people actually living that life behind the scenes. Okay. I see a duh. Anybody else want to go feral and actually push the edge of how you show up in your content this week? That's why you're here. Okay. Because if there was a fluffy secret that applied to every single one of you as a framework, then all your content would look the same and no one would care. Okay? Give me an in. Are we in? Oh, do we need to do a whole identity training? Yes, thank you. All in, yeah. Okay, I want to see it. Like, actually fucking commit. Yeah. Everyone's like, Okay. Good. There we go. Good. Okay. The other thing I wanted to share was like, I go first with this always. And I always am leading. I'm not going to tell you to do something if I'm not willing to do it myself. So obviously I'm pushing this edge, but I wanted to quickly share with you guys. Oh my God, I just talk so much. Okay. Because this happened to me over the weekend and I shared with my membership clients too. You know, I shared a post that was talking about how people literally just, I woke up to more of my copy and content just literally coming on my feed. People will blatantly take it. I don't care so much about that. It's happened forever. But also, my question for myself was these are people that like follow me and I follow them. And if they are brave and audacious enough to just blatantly take copy and think that that application is going to manipulate people to work with them, especially people who have like massive audiences, then like where's the line where I need to actually keep some integrity in the space? Like I care about the people being affected by this. If you can't lead yourself and think that your work is worth it, your words are worth it, and you don't need somebody else's, like how are you serving people? And so I called it out in my content on the weekend. And of course, okay, as this happens when you take up space and you just like start saying things that some people are just unwilling to say. And I didn't call these people out, okay? I blurred it, but I talked about why this is a problem. It's more about the problem and not the copying. I got attacked in the DMs, like a lot, right? By just the one or two people that were called out on this. And immediately I went, ooh, this doesn't feel good. I want them to understand where I'm coming from. I feel bad. Am I being a bitch? Am I like being petty? And I needed a minute to back up and go, wait a second, like I'm doing this in integrity with myself. And I'm doing it at the service of the people that I care about and my audience. And I believe, you know, that people shouldn't steal content in order to try to produce authority. So why do I feel this way? We're all conditioned like this. It's scary. Okay. It's scary to step out of our comfort zone. It's scary to say things on the internet that other people aren't willing to. But what's scarier? Like not having the life and business of your fucking dreams, or being willing to be seen, to be disliked, to be attacked sometimes, to be trolled, okay, to have people not like you and not have to justify or get them to understand, okay? These are your choices. You get to choose. And so that's what being in is for the next couple of days together, is breaking through that seal of realizing like you get to choose what's hard. You get to try to continue to fight and find a way that's safe to achieve your dreams, which doesn't exist. Or you can choose to do the things and say the things that other people aren't willing to fucking say, and have people hire you and work with you for it. Okay? That's literally what it is. So, before we dive in, if you guys are here and you have a little moment throughout this presentation, I would love for you to screenshot it and put it on your stories and tag me. And any of you guys that do this, I'm going to do a specific audit for you on a post by the end of the week, and give you like a full breakdown of where I think we could make something so much more potent and converting. And of course, I'm hoping that you're sharing a lot during the next couple of days together, so we have a lot of context to work on. But I digress. Let's get the fuck into it, right, Jess? Talk for 25 minutes before we jump in. Okay. This is really something that people get mixed up all of the time. The hook is really one of the most important pieces of your content, because if you're not capturing attention, if you're not making people stop their pattern, right, of scrolling, of believing something, of thinking something, you will not actually have the transaction. You will not get the conversion. I don't care how good your content is. It doesn't matter if the hook isn't good. Okay. And you're not competing with you're competing with bad content. Yeah. And repetitive, regurgitated content, but you're also competing with like chaos and meltdowns and dogs and politics and thirst traps and trends and screaming toddlers and puppies. Okay. Like, this is an attention economy. And if you're not willing to play the game, then you're not willing to win. Okay. So we need to actually, and 16 other coaches saying the same shit with better lighting. Okay. Like, we need to get really real about the importance of capturing attention and not feeling bad about it. This is marketing. People are consuming of their own volition. Okay. You're talking to adults here. And I'm going to show you how to capture this attention, but a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to be like clickbaity. It's like, bitch, I hope that you learn how to be clickbaity and get people to listen to the important shit that you have to say. Okay. So number one, as I mentioned, all of the things that you're competing with, it reminded me to tell you to stop consuming. Okay. My content in and of itself, my copywriting, like the things that I talk about, my messaging, my captions, for me personally, it's been strong for a long time. I really feel good about my content, but I felt good about my content years ago. Even like right at the beginning of my business, my content was so strong. The difference, okay, now is understanding how to get people to actually read it. That's the biggest difference that I've made in my content. And this is why also I've scaled at the rate that I have. Okay. You have 2 or 3 seconds, I would say less, to capture people's attention, right? Because neurologically, we need to make sure that we're getting people to like read what you're going to say. And it's not by being floofy and being desire marketing all the time, right? We capture attention with contrast. So that's not what I expected to hear. You'll see me do this a lot in my hooks. Like, it makes them go, what? What are you talking about? Right? Discomfort, where it's like, shit, this person knows me. This person knows. That felt too accurate, right? We capture people with curiosity. So like, where's this going? What is this? Or emotional tension. Okay. And this is like something that's about your ideal client or about you, or a story you're telling, but in a way that they've never heard it before. Okay. And so I'm going to show you how we do this. But if you don't have these things in your hooks, like the brain deletes it. The way that we focus on things, especially when it comes to consuming content, is very coded in pattern interrupt. If you cannot interrupt the pattern, you will be scrolled right over. Okay. Even for people that follow you. And so if anything looks similar in the brain to what it's heard, like how it's heard things been said, like anything like that, it just immediately filters it as I've already seen it. Okay, which is why we need to create things in a way and say things in a way that jolts the brain into like that second of question. It's not even always getting a point across. It's like, I got to stop and think about this for a second. What? Right? So this is not because like people don't scroll past you because your content's bad. They scroll past you because your content neurologically blends in with everything else. And here's where I see people make the biggest mistake is like their hooks are headlines, right? Like they're like a summary of the post, a thesis of the point, right? Like a warm up. And this is the biggest mistake that you can make. Your hook has to be like a jolt, a rupture. Okay. And it literally has to say like, this is different, stay here. Okay. Because you're not just selling an offer, like you're selling the momentum that gets them to read your content every single time. When you start doing this with your hooks and you have people bought in, you have followers that are starting to pay attention. Now the hooks are just as important for new eyes, but they don't need as much convincing to get into the caption. Okay, this is why I'm talking about your content as an ecosystem and not just like a one-off post. Obviously, you can create viral hooks, but that's not what we're about. Okay, we're about making money, and viral hooks rarely make money. Okay, so let's get in. I keep clicking the wrong button. Let's get into hooks that sell. I'm going to give you guys lots of examples of content today and throughout the week so that you can kind of like look at it and think about how it makes you feel so you can recreate these things. But there's 4 things that a strong hook does. And honestly, it's just like, usually for me, it's just one of them, right? Hook, less is so much more with a hook. If you can be potent and actually create one of these things with one hook, one sentence, less than a sentence, you're attaching or you're grabbing attention much faster than everybody else. So emotional tension is like a conflict that people feel that they haven't named, or something that like makes them go like, ooh. It's like tabloid style, right? Like it makes the reader feel seen in a way that's slightly uncomfortable. It pokes at the internal dissonance that they have with themselves. So for instance, I was talking with a mastermind client yesterday or the day before about like who she's really speaking to and serving in her content. And when we're talking about, her client is like this mom, this successful, ambitious corporate woman, and she is, like maybe burnt out and doing all of the things. Okay, but what's the emotional tension? What's the dissonance? It's the fact that she fucking knows that it makes her feel good to be relied on. It makes her feel good to actually martyr herself. She's internally creating more of a chaotic and busy environment because it makes her feel like she's wanted and needed and productive. When you start talking about that instead of like you're burnt out because you're working so hard and then mothering, those are very different ways to get attention. This one is going to stop her in her tracks because she's like, okay, this one is, I've seen this all over the internet. I don't care. Okay. So, like you keep saying you want freedom, but you still ask your husband for permission before you invest. Like that's just like a random example. But these types of emotional tension where you're calling out, this is what you want, but this is who you're being, and they don't match. Okay. Mirroring things, mirroring something that people have never admitted out loud, that people would be scared to say out loud. Maybe it's about the industry, right? Like it could be a hidden fear, a hidden pattern, a hidden insecurity of people. This type of hook just says the quiet part out loud, and it really gets people's attention, right? Like you'd rather be relatable than rich, right? What do you mean? I want to be rich. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Okay. flipping a belief, this is my favorite, and you'll see this in a lot of my content where you're basically taking a pattern that someone has accepted as a truth and ripping it open. Okay. And this is like, this is a hook that dismantles the sacred cows, right? Like it questions the rules and the assumptions and the things that has like the things that have been internalized in this person that they've never even questioned. And this I find honestly is some of my most converting content. And again, I'm going to give you guys examples. Okay. But the other thing is dropping them in mid chaos. I like to use this for storytelling content where you just like drop people into the middle of something and they're like, it's cinematic. They don't understand exactly what's going on, but this is a great example of like the movie trailer analogy where they're just like, okay, I need to find out what happens. Right. And so I have examples of this, but like what my ex slammed my phone into the wall, and I was just so scared because I knew I had to return my Slack messages. And you're like, bitch, what? What are you talking about? Okay. So these are examples of those, right? Like your post about crying on the floor last week isn't the flex you think it is, and it's costing you high ticket buyers. Okay, well, this is an example of that emotional tension call out. It's like people trying to be vulnerable, and it challenges the idea that like vulnerability without leadership equals value, because it doesn't, right? And so it calls out like performative oversharing that people are doing on the internet. And immediately, like my ideal clients are going to magnetize to that because they agree and they value the information in this post. And it creates that emotional tension that we're talking about, right? And it hits a nerve with people. And then the mirror is like the get paid to exist era is ruining the integrity of the coaching industry. And here's what will actually make you more money, right? This is definitely just giving people this idea, like the industry is giving people this idea that existing equals entitlement and calling that out immediately. People who actually resonate with the standard that I have, which is I believe that you actually have to create a lot of value and give an incredible client experience for people to pay you on the internet. You don't just show up and post and expect that people pay you. Again, magnetizes those ideal clients. Last week, I got 6 likes on a post and made 17K in sales the same day. Dismantles the belief, right? This is your belief flip. My story views are low. I have 3 people watching my stories, right? Again, immediacy. Like I'm flipping that belief right now that you need to have high visibility in order to make a lot of money, right? Mid chaos, like I said, for like the storytelling stuff, I begged to call my mom with half my face destroyed, and they said, no, you're fine. And I smiled and obeyed. And I just took this from the middle of the story I was going to tell and dropped my people in, and they're sitting there going, what the fuck is going on? Okay. And those two, like the belief flip and the mid chaos and storytelling content, this, when you want to look at one piece of content, this is going to be the most high converting type of posts for me personally. And it might work as well for you, right? Is this landing for you guys? Like these 4 different things that you want to just fall on one of these elements in your hook, because this is how you pattern interrupt. You have emotional tension, like the call out. You have mirroring something to people that they're unwilling to talk about themselves or admit to themselves, right? Belief flip, my favorite every single fucking time. Okay. Mid chaos, I love for like storytelling, because if you have like a climax line or something like really juicy, you just put it at the front and make people go like, what the fuck is going on? Okay, good. Good. Through line, really important. And here's where people drop the ball. You get the click, you got the hook nailed. You don't get the sale, okay, if you don't have a good through line. Okay, the through line is what gets the sale. And this is articulating the value of your offer, or articulating the point of the post, even, because sometimes I'm not even selling. It's the same for you. Okay, you write a great hook, and then you waste the retention that you've now earned. You've got people's attention, and then what a lot of people do, instead of grabbing the mic, is they start explaining a contact. Okay? They do a step by step. They go, well, people need context. I'm going to give them all the context first before I get into the juice. And you deflate the energy. Okay? It's like a soft little pivot. And I see this in so many posts with really great hooks where people will like get the attention, and then it's like, why the fuck did I read this then? This was so exciting. Okay. It's the same thing like somebody said, about the trailers. It's like when okay, I bought the ticket, but the movie sucked, and I'm not going to, come back when there's a round 2 of this. And so the problem isn't that you don't know like how to write, it's that the transformation or the point or the through line forgets to lead people anywhere. Okay. So, like, what we want to create is an arc. I'm going to talk about this a little bit with you guys just so you have, but we still don't want to just like go, here's a hot hook, and then I'm going to educate people and take them through this very boring journey because there's no point. You're not going to get the conversion. So, what's really happening is you just turn it into like, okay, now I went really hard with the hook and I'm going to play it safe in the caption. Okay. And if you guys read, I just dropped in posts, but like these are great examples, okay, of like from my perspective, these are hooks I've gotten a lot of attention about, even just from you guys. And the through line is equivalent in power. Okay. So if you read these posts, they're not like whispering away. They're really, really strong and powerful, just as much as the hooks are. And so examples of when you do this in your sales copy is what I wrote some examples here because I see this all the time, but I want you guys to get the gist of this is that you can, I'm going to show you how to write fucking attention grabbing hooks. But the through line is really, really important to get the sale. You get people's attention, they have to convert, and the through line counts. Okay. So the other thing when you're talking about your offers, like in your posts or people working with you, and you say things like, okay, I'm going to show you where this disconnect goes with the value because everyone talks about, I can't articulate the value. I'm having a hard time articulating the value. Okay. And this is exactly why. Like, we'll clean up your offer suite and simplify your scaling strategy. Great. Like, I understand that it's literal, but what they hear is like, cool. Another person telling me to kill half my offers and niche down again. They don't care because they've heard it before. Okay, this is like the entire theme. They've heard it before, their brain goes, no, we don't care. Okay, right? But if you start talking in ways that are very specific that they haven't heard before, this is how you capture the conversion, which is like you'll stop treating your business like a buffet of half finished ideas and start packaging your genius like the industry can't afford not to buy it. And you're just like, oh, it says the same thing. Okay, I wrote these really quick this morning, but that gives me like a lot more of an energetic yes, a body yes, than a brain yes. Okay, we speak to the brain in the hook, we speak to the body in the caption. Okay, we work on leadership embodiment. I saw somebody talk about this the other day. Okay, they hear like she's going to give me a morning routine and call it embodiment. I don't care. Bye. Right? Where if you say like, you'll stop managing your clients like they're emotionally fragile toddlers and start leading like someone who doesn't have a panic attack when the room gets uncomfortable. Okay. It says the same thing, but it's a completely different language to my body because now I'm feeling that. Okay. Right? Like, what else did I have? Oh, I help women heal their relationship with food. They're like, okay, they're going to tell me to eat the cookie and love my body. Like, I don't care. Right? Like be honest with yourself and your brain and your body. That doesn't make me feel something, right? Like, or you'll stop oscillating between like OCD control and ADHD chaos and binging, and then finally feel like someone who can make a fucking sandwich without spiraling. Okay? I'm saying the same thing, but I'm speaking to emotion. Like I'm speaking to like the body in that caption. So like it's great. These are juicy hooks, like I said, but the through line speaks to the body, and that's why they convert. So we want people to be like, oh my gosh, jolted out of their pattern, but then not disappointed when we go and try to start teaching them something really fucking boring in the caption. Okay. So with this, when we're talking, I'm giving you like very basic outline for a narrative arc that I like to use. A lot of the time it's more so in storytelling content than it is in like other types of content, but I'm just going to give you a very quick breakdown of how I like to do this. Like the snap, right? The pattern interrupt is the hook. And then we need context, tension, decision. And don't take this wrong because context can get boring really quick and you can lose people. So you have to be mindful. And tension is really important. Okay. I'm going to talk about what that looks like and then a really strong close. So you get this jaw-dropping trailer in your hook or like the video with the hook or whatever, and people are like, oh my God, I want to see that. Okay. But if it flops, like they're leaving and then they're not coming back. So this is what's happening in your content right now. Like you have these like amazing, this might be what's happening for some of you. Some of you might not need help with hooks and you have them down pat, but some of you might have a completely fizzled out caption, right? And we just have to be like, you guys have to look at your own content and figure this out. And people think like, she's good, but I don't need this. That's what articulating the value is in your content. Like, if you articulate the value, people are immediately like, I need this. I need it. I have to have it, right? And so, not every post is going to be a story, but this type of content plugged in between the rest of my types of content, again, ecosystem, it really creates depth and resonance with people, because what happens is like they have the knowledge of what I offer. They have, you know, me being positioned as an authority and sharing some of the expertise that I have. I throw in some of this storytelling content, and that's the reason they buy. A lot of people buy off pieces of content like this. And again, it's not just this piece of content, but this is the thing that makes them go, I need to work with her because of the resonance. They're like, this person gets me. This person's been through it. This person is like, her story is so similar to mine, whatever that looks like. So if you're missing this in your content, this is what I want you to focus on. And we have like what I mentioned, right? The trailer moment is the hook, like the conflict, the belief flip, the mirror, that you're dropping them into chaos. Like that's a lot what I'm doing here, right? I opened my eyes to thick dust from the airbags and realized for the first time that the possibility of pissing off a stranger was just as terrifying to me as the possibility of death, right? That's from my story that I'm telling inside of this post. Okay, so that's all I like to do with these storytelling pieces. And then we have like the drop. So you have at the beginning of your post grounding them in like, this is what we're going to talk about. This is my world. You know, we make it vivid, we make it human, we make it real. We don't go like, okay, so I'm going to tell you exactly why you should do these 3 things if you want. Done. My brain is like, no, I don't want, I'm done. I'm done. This is boring. Okay. So start a little bit more like mid scene. If you were just getting right into it and you had 2 seconds to get people the context they need for the story to land, not a paragraph of context they don't need for the story to land. Okay. And then the climb is your tension, right? Like this is where you're turning up the heat. Okay. And this is where like you're talking about what they're getting wrong, or it's part of your story where things are getting really intense. And then we build that tension. That's like your climax. And then the decision is, you know, the internal transformation, the identity we're speaking on, the ROI. It could be the point of the post. Like sometimes, again, you're not necessarily selling, but if you are pitching, you need to make sure that this is really, really powerful and it's tied back to the point of the post, to the hook of the post. A lot of the times people will start with something and then they'll fizzle off into something else. And then everyone's just like, okay, wait, what? This wasn't even what we thought it was about. Okay. So you guys have to make sure that you're just paying attention to this. I get so distracted. I should hide the chat. This first one to the left made my eyes water. Yeah. Insane. Okay. And the other thing is a lot of the times, like you want to come across so clearly and in your truth that this post is a fuck yes or a fuck off. Like you should be getting people, you should be getting so deep with yourself in your content that people are either like, I am so for this bitch, or I do not like her. I am unfollowing her. I don't agree with her. Right? Like, and a lot of you guys are pushing that edge, but not enough. Okay. So one of the things I do want you to do is make sure that you do have storytelling content, because it's one of the most powerful ways to convert people. Just knowing that it's not all storytelling, right? You have to have that content ecosystem. And again, like if you're in any of my programs, I teach this, but it works because it mirrors your audience lived experience and it proves your process. A lot of the times I can prove my process and show my methodologies and show kind of what I teach on without actually pitching or talking about that. And it sells identity and integrity and values, right? Not information. So that's why it's really important. And then the biggest piece of this, okay, and the reason that you don't feel people get it in your content is because you're selling things that they don't care about, okay? Like they don't always buy your process. It's important, but there's so much out there on like, make sure you have a specific method and you trademark your process and you have something that other people can't replicate. And let me tell you, like from my honest true, I mean, I can't even say that because I always am just, I have no filter, you guys know. But like even a methodology, even any strategy that you create that's going to help people get some sort of result in your niche, in your industry, can be replicated. All of that shit can be copied. Okay. The only thing people cannot copy, the only thing that is different about you than Sally Sue in the industry is who you are as a person and your identity. When you actually sell identity, okay, this lands with people. Maybe they want to know the modality, maybe they want to know the process of getting them that transformation, but this is the number one thing I see people having this disconnect between I have amazing results in my containers with my clients. Everyone, once they're bought in, they're in for good. And but I don't know how to put this in my content. It's because you're still trying to sell something that people don't care about. They care about who they're going to become when they work with you. This is literally sales psychology, okay? Humans do not make decisions from logic. They make them from emotion, but they also decide based on who they believe they are, who they want to become, who they're dying to become. And so you're selling an identity upgrade to people, and most of you are losing sales when you're selling the journey. Okay. And this is, you guys are beyond like, don't sell the features, sell the benefits, but like, really, okay. We can't forget this stuff. And this is one of the biggest disconnects in the content. So, when you're saying things like you'll learn to attract high caliber clients and here's how, you're going to sell with integrity, and like, that's fine, but it doesn't move people in their body. Because high level buyers, they don't buy steps, they buy self recognition. And I'm going to show you the types of content and even the types of hooks that really speak to those high level buyers for me. Okay. So, yeah, obviously, we know like it's not about just features, modules, Voxer, Telegram frameworks. Like, there's so much noise in the industry about making sure that you like tell people about your specific methodology. And like, if you guys know me, I am all for curriculums, except I don't think that they're ultimately necessary to get people certain types of results. Obviously, I have my processes, I have my frameworks that I teach clients, but I don't talk on them a lot in my content because that's not what gets me sales. Okay? Do with it what you will. So, what you actually are doing is you're selling identity. And these posts convert incredibly well because they're not just about you, they're about your reader, about your highest level client through you. They hold a mirror up to their own conditioning, their own experiences, like the version of them that's already underneath that they're really wanting to pull forward. And each one dismantles an old identity, like in these examples, while seducing a new one for me. And I do this all the time. These are, again, like really powerful conversion posts, and their identity flips just based on my own story. Okay. So I was scared of you, right? Like, makes sense. And I talk about in this post like how I've always been too much, how I've always been labeled a problem, how I've always been too confident, and it's a cause of being a woman that likes herself, and like gave them this whole ideation, you guys reading this too, around the fact that like, I hope that you're triggered, I hope that you feel something inside when you read my posts, I hope that you're a little intimidated because I'm a mirror of the version of you that is literally dying to be let loose on the world, right? Like, I've been called a bitch, I've been called these things, and it's because the world doesn't know what to do with a woman who leads herself. And as I'm telling you this story, you're reading it, if you're my ideal client, and going, me too, right? And it exposes my thought process and the identity of who I am that my ideal client really wants to step into. Okay. And the same thing with like the next one, right? Like, today I kicked off an epic event with 90 people inside, and my clients are fucking flying while I spent the AM in toddler vomit, sick as a dog. Okay. And for this, I went through these slides and I was like, you can post a post today. You can send one fucking email that takes you 5 minutes to write instead of wasting 5 hours on your website. Immediately contrast the identity of the person, how they're operating right now that isn't in alignment with their goals, who they're going to become when they work with me that's in alignment with those goals. Okay, as an example, it's the same thing. All the unhinged shit I do that has nothing to do with business but makes me stupid amounts of money. I reposted this. Like, this was a post I did months ago that did really well and is true to me. And so I just rejigged it, put it up, and again had people coming in and having conversations around this, because again, it just like flips the masculine coded belief that like you have to do more work. I have to solve this problem with work. I have to change my offer. I have to change my messaging. I have to do this. And a lot of the times, you know, the things that do make me and my clients the most money is living bigger behind the scenes. It's an identity shift. Okay. And the reason that these do so well, especially for high ticket sales, is because high level clients, they're not buying those features. They're buying the reflection of who they want to become and a mirror for who they no longer want to be, somebody who's going to call them out on that shit. Right. And so this is why it's really important to actually be the walking embodiment of the things that you say online. Is this type of content landing for you guys? Like, even these hooks in and of itself, just really showing people how, like, who you are as a example of who they want to become. Okay. And then that's what I'm talking about with, like, in the audio, when I said when you are acting like one person and then you're saying that you're another, we need to make sure that we are embodied and making sure that you're not trying to prove a point with people, because I wrote it here, like, the more you try to prove it to me, the less I believe you. Like, I made a post once about how actually before the nice girl funeral conversation, I made a post about how, like, if you're a really good person, you don't go around telling people how good of a person you are, right? The more you try to tell me you're a good person, the less I believe you. The more you try to tell me you didn't do something, the more I think you did it. Okay. The more you try to prove to me that you're a leader by telling me you're a leader, the less I believe you're a leader. Okay. So I want you to think about this in your content. Okay. Because a lot of people will show up in their content and try to be like, even though things are really hard, and even though I'm going through XYZ, I'm still showing up. And even though I burnt my business to the ground, like 6 months ago, I'm still here and like doing the thing and I'm a leader. And like, that kind of content repels high level buyers. Okay. You are literally proving that you are not calibrated to the identity of the person that you're trying to sell to, or that the identity in and of itself that you're trying to sell. And so people can smell that shit from a mile away. And that's why this is so important. You have to actually be the person that you're emulating. And you guys here, like, you don't have to prove anything. You don't have to justify the power of your work. You just have to own it, right? And so identity driven copy isn't just about writing who they could be. It's about being so fully immersed in the version of you that they want to be that they literally just buy because of it. And I know it's annoying because we're here to talk about chokehold copy. Okay. But I have to double down on this because it doesn't work otherwise. It will not work. It will not make you sales. It will not convert if you are not actually continually stepping into that evolution of yourself. Okay. I wrote an example to try to like capture this in copy. I'm not sure if it completely does, but I know that you guys can get the energy of what I'm talking about, right? Like, I've helped over 150 clients scale to 5-figure months through proven six-phase processes, and I teach you how to create clear messaging. I stole this from somebody. Hopefully it's not any of yours. I don't think it is. Profitable offers and scalable delivery. And like, I read is like, please believe me. Please think I'm good enough. Like, please trust me. And then, like, another piece of copy that I grabbed was, my clients raise their rates mid-program because the second their copy catches up to their power, people start paying in full within minutes of finding their feed, right? Completely different. It's not proving anything to me other than like your clients are getting crazy results because they're actually speaking about who they are in their messaging that lands with their ideal client. And so Like I said, you're just not here to justify your work. You don't want to be doing that in your content. You're here to own how fucking good you are at it. Every single one of you said, yes, my work changes lives. So we need to really make sure that your identity matches that belief going forward if you want your content to actually convert. Um, so with positioning, okay, I have a question for you guys. Do you feel, without a shadow of a doubt, that your offer is better than any comparables that your clients could potentially consider, like find anywhere on the internet, even your mentors? Are you like fucking solid in the value? Think about your signature offer, the one that you focus on. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Like, it's the best place for them to be. I am confident in that. Yes. Okay. Yes, yes. Keep going. I'm seeing chokehold pop off, so I just want to make sure. How about the rest of you? Do you feel that confident in your offer? Come on, guys. Because if we don't, then there's a problem. Okay. We got to make sure that you actually feel that level of confidence. 75%. Okay. There's no wrong answer here, guys, because like this is something that evolves and changes. And honestly, it could change day to day depending on how you feel. But this is really what we got to get clear on, because if you don't feel like you're the best and only option, you're already losing. Yeah. And my mentor is a badass. No shade. No shade if I'm your mentor. Like, I want you to believe deeper in your offer than you believe in mine. My offer is incredible. I just need to others to see it. Yeah. Like, you guys have to believe so deeply that you are not an option for your clients. This comes across in your content. If you think you're an option and you're trying to be like, pick me, this is a disconnect. Okay. It's so easy to be like, I'm going to lead on the messaging and I can't articulate the value of my offer. Or is it that you don't believe that yours is the best? Okay, guys, right? You understand what I'm saying here? Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about positioning. Okay, this is the energetic positioning that makes people buy, right? Like if there's no urgency and they're like, okay, well, I'll circle back. I'm going to gauge between other decisions I'm making and other offers I'm looking at. Like, well, of course it's not converting. Okay. So we need to do the inner work to make sure that you're solid as fuck, that you are the number one choice for that ideal and perfect client. Okay. You've already disqualified yourself as a solution if you don't believe in your own offer. Okay. And so these examples here on screen are strategic pieces that help my client see exactly what we're going to work on inside of my spaces, show people the types of value that I bring, my level of expertise, what they're going to get when they work with me outside of the storytelling and the identity. These are very strategic, step by step, like this is what you need to do right now to solve a problem that you have in this moment. But when you come into my world also, we're just going to double down on this. And so this positions me as an authority and an expert in my space and my field, and demonstrates how their problem is going to be solved when they hire me. Okay. This is exactly why your content works as an ecosystem, because one of these posts isn't powerful enough on its own to go, okay, well, obviously she knows my problems and she is, the solution. She has the solution. She has evidence. I believe her. Slap that with a storytelling or, identity type of post, they're in. Okay. So this is why it's really important to have that energetic inevitability behind it, because if you don't, people can sense it. If you want to work with high level clients, you can't assume that they can't sense this from you. If you want to work with people who are confident and self-aware and emotionally intelligent, you literally cannot assume that they can't tell you're disembodied. Okay? Love ya, but that's the truth. Okay? So the levers. Why positioning creates premium level sales? Well, because they don't buy because your offer is stacked, right? They buy because There's urgency because you held up a mirror that was undeniable, because you flipped a switch in their brain and they completely dropped one belief and picked up a new one. Okay. There's tension between who they are right now and who they want to become. And the discomfort of not being that person becomes so potent that what they want is to just be in your world. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and say, use desire marketing. Like, I am someone who really resonates with pain point marketing. Pain point me to your offers. Okay. Like, pain point me all the way, baby. I want my mentors to pain point me and call me out on my bullshit. If that's not how you operate, that's fine. But this is how I have had the most high level, incredible people come into my space, is urgency, pain point marketing, identity shifts, that kind of thing. And it doesn't like, they're higher level clients than people who have come in off desire marketing. Okay. And a lot of the times what I have found is that people who come in off desire marketing are buying a dream and an aspiration, and they are in their victim energy because they're not actually willing to look at the truth. People who come in off of my pain point marketing, people who have come in off my clients' pain point marketing, are incredible people who are very highly intelligent, want significant results, and are willing to do whatever it takes to get them. Okay. So with urgency, emotional urgency is the subconscious stuckness, right? This is not about logic. It's about what your ideal client feels when she's alone with herself. Okay. And you have to be able to know this because you've been this person, you've walked this path, right? You're not just agitating pain, but you're illuminating this internal friction that she has with herself that she's already tired of managing. That's why she's looking for someone to hire. Identity is the same as what we talked about with the content, right? It's like, it's not about what they get. It's about the slow leak of not being the person they want to be. What is the cost of that? What does it look like in their life, right? And life stake is like financial, health, wellness, relationship, all of the things that really truly matter to people. What is it costing them to not actually be inside of your world when it comes to that? You're thinking beyond like, it's just costing you money not to hire me. If you're a business mentor, it's like the whole life cost of staying in limbo and ignoring certain things, right? This is where desire meets consequence and why this is important. Okay. And people buy when the cost of staying the same outweighs the risk of making a change. Like, if you're looking at this from any kind of actual marketing perspective and zooming out of the coaching industry, who's going to tell you that mean girl marketing and pain point marketing is shitty? Okay. Zoom out, get out of your niche, get out of your industry. They buy when you make it very clear that every delay is costing them. This is marketing. And your ideal highest level clients, they have the discernment and autonomy to make those decisions, but it's true, right? And I want to know what is it costing your potential client right now to not buy from you? Like, you should be able to go make a fucking list or a sentence or two. I want you guys to drop it in the chat. What is it costing your ideal client right now? Let's do a little exercise. I'm going to give you something after this. Not to buy from you. Immediate, like, what is it? What is it costing her to not be in the identity of the version that she would be with you? Money? Yeah, for sure. Excuse me. For me, of course, it's money. It's also like alignment, happiness, energy, fulfillment, because when people come into my world and they stop actually pushing down the truth and the parts of them that they aren't honoring, right? Like, it's like an unlearning of self-abandonment when people come into my world. Of course they make a fuck ton of money, but it's also this like massive level of, wow, I'm so much happier. Wow, I'm so much more liberated. I don't give a fuck what people think anymore. Anxiety, weekly spirals, confusion, feeling stuck, misalignment. Guys, what is it costing people to not be in your world? Give me a word. You guys really have to make sure you have this, because this is the basis of being able to articulate the value of being in your offers. Time. Yeah, time is one, but like, what are we really talking about here when you say time? Like, what does that mean to your ideal client? Okay, because if you're like, I'm going to argue that it's costing her time not to be in my space, she's going to argue that she doesn't have time to be in your space, right? So this is a great exercise for you guys to get clear on, because the next piece of this, a life lived a full blast, it costs the money, joy, purpose, bliss. Yep. The next question is, are you fucking saying this and talking about it in your content? Right? The opportunity to want more for herself. I mean, anyone could want more for themselves right now. I could want more for myself, but I don't need you to want more for myself. What is it costing me not to work with you? Right? This is a huge gap that I see for people, obviously, right? And then when they identify the gap, they're not even talking about it in the content. So why would your ideal client think that it's costing her anything not to be in your space? Right? I can tell you confidently that every single person that has come into my world has only said, I just wish that I, got off my scaredy cat chair and I worked with you sooner, because holy shit, it's not just about the money. I feel so proud of myself for the things that I've accomplished. My relationship is different. Like I get to do the things that I actually dreamt of doing a year ago that I thought were impossible. It's like all of these other things. I can tell you that that is what is costing you not to be in my space. Give me more, right? So I feel like, yeah, I feel like this is a huge piece that we need to work on a little bit together, you guys. But I'm gonna keep moving because where are we? Oh my God, look at the time. Okay, so make sure we get clear on what it's costing your ideal client not to be in your world. This next piece is that your $1 million piece of content, the things that like actually will convert people into your world, is probably already something that you've said or created in so many ways, in so many words. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because just like how we're conditioned as women, you don't write like soft copy because you aren't powerful. It's because you were taught that it's really abrasive to just come up to people and tell the truth. Okay? Like, let's get into this. Most people aren't used to just like walking up to another human and just saying the damn thing. Like, a lot of people won't do that. They want to warm up. They want to lead people in. They want to take people's hands and sit down with them quietly and like give them this nice little opportunity to share with you, right? And that's, the whole premise of who I am as a person is I will literally go deep with you in 30 seconds. I will look you in the eyes and I will be very blunt and very honest. It's the reason that a lot of people don't like me. It's also the reason that the right people do, or I have really meaningful relationships, or the reason that my business makes a lot of money. Okay. This is something that I need you to be aware of because it comes out in your copy. I'm just going to give a little context and disclaim. I'm just going to make sure that people are like warned that I'm coming in hot, like that this is the hot take. And we have justifications and softeners and a little bit of explaining before we say the fucking thing. Okay. And so by the time people get to the point, the through line, right? It's already dead in the feed. So it doesn't matter to them anymore. They're gone. And so when you realize that this happens, a lot of the times I'll have clients come in and be like, my messaging, I need to revamp and completely reposition my messaging. And like truly in some cases we need to speak to an elevated client. We need to make sure that we're like being clear. But the biggest thing is that you have probably written incredible copy or have a really great point that's like confuddled with all this other shit, like way down in your caption halfway through. Like there's probably a hook in some of your captions instead of the boring hook you put on the front of it, right? Like, and just all of the disclaimers and all of the like, I get it. I get it because I've been where you are. And the truth is, right? Like all of this stuff. Does anybody feel like maybe when they start writing, it takes them a second and then they're like, fuck, I'm in the flow. Now I'm on fire. And here's this incredible point. And it comes out towards the end of the copy. Does anybody feel like maybe they need to warm people up, lead in? Or are you the type of person who would literally walk in a room and just like grab someone's hand and look them in the eye and tell them the blunt truth? Okay. Because if you're not doing that in your copy, This is why we're missing people. This is why we're not converting and getting sales. You have to lead with that. And it's against the grain as a woman. It's against the grain as a person. Okay. And I want you to get very clear in this experience that the point, the thing that feels scary to say, a little aggressive, a little abrasive, a little bit contrarian, whatever it is, that is what you lead with. Do not warm people up to the fucking point. It's costing you a lot of money. Okay. And I can also tell because you're here that you like that type of marketing. So you have to give your audience the same grace and understanding. They want the point. They don't want to have to read to get the hard hitting shit. Give it to them and then follow that up with power and a through line. Okay. So I want to just show you some of my resurrected copy and give you some examples of what this actually looks like. So I had this piece of copy, and in that piece of copy, it was like, a lot of people watch my stories but never engage, and like, I don't make it mean anything. But the buried line was like, to all the girlies who saved my carousel post without hitting the like button. Ooh. And I can't give context, so I kind of sound like I'm being a little petty or something. But then I get into the juice of the post, and I signed a client from this post. Okay. Right. I had your pricing should reflect not just your time, but your energy. And it was this conversation I was creating around raising prices and a lot of the things that I'm saying to clients where it's like, it's not just tit for tat. Like, instead, one of the things that came out in that copy was every fucking time I raise my prices, it opens the door for my clients to do the same. And if you don't see that as a reason to charge more, I can't help you. Then that became the hook. I signed a client from each of these. That's why I use them. Okay. Right. I use pain point and desire marketing. And I wrote on this and it came out, I use pain point marketing all the time and none of my clients hire me to save them. Are you guys getting the drift here? Like there's juice in what you have to say, but you have to find it and put it at the very front and be brave enough to do that. Give me a yes or no in the chat if this is landing with the resurrected copy. Okay, good. I got fire emojis. I love. Okay, good. Here's the question for you. Because here's what I ask a lot of my clients, and we do this just inherently in conversation. If there was something frustrating you right now with the way people are moving or the things people are saying, or like even current clients that you have, yeah, we're gonna work on it together. I think Cindy, you're in VIP, so like we're diving into this shit together. What would be weird? Yes, but how do you turn it to that? Skill, reps. This is what we're doing inside this week. I'm gonna give you prompts, you're gonna work on it, but if you want one-to-one feedback on them, today's the last day you guys can get in VIP. Okay, so if you want me to like actually show you how to do this with your own, yeah, okay. I know, wouldn't it be so nice if I just had like and here's a plug and play for you guys, right? But this is me going, I'm writing the copy. I started off, I'm warming people up. I'm lukewarm. I'm getting hot. It's getting spicy. Take the spice, put it at the front. That's my process. Might be different for you, but I want you to think about what would be literally weird for you to bluntly say to your client right now that you'd be uncomfortable with. Like if you're having this issue with a client, they're like, oh my God, I'm not getting results. Like I'm doing all the things. And in your head, you're like, bitch, I told you to do this fucking other thing like 3 weeks ago and you haven't even brought it up, let alone executed on it. That, first of all, is what you need to say to the client because it's going to serve her. Secondly, this is the hook. Okay. When you're creating a piece of content and you're like, it would actually be a little like, ooh, to just like walk up to my audience. If you imagine them as a person, as a group of people, and say this thing, like that would be daunting for me. That's the hook. Okay. If it would be a little uncomfortable, a little bit weird, a little bit call out, or you would complain to me as a mentor, oh my God, I have this client and she XYZ. And like, obviously I'm trying to like encourage her to do whatever, but she's not no, what would you say to her? What would you say to me about that? Put that in the hook. Okay. Talk about it in your content. I swear to God, it's going to get you a client. Okay. Let's keep moving. Cause like, oh my gosh, we're taking up time, Jess. So right now, you guys, I want you to go to like one of your last few posts and I want you to look and pull out whether it is your hook that you feel is the strongest or something in the caption, your boldest statement, like the strongest line from that piece of content, and drop it in the chat because I'm going to help you in real time just kind of rework some of these. Okay. This is probably, unless you're in VIP, is going to be a great chance to just like go through your content, pick out something you think is like, this is strong, whether you put it in the hook or not from a post that you've recently made, and let's just make it like super juicy together. Okay. I'll give you guys like 1 or 2 minutes to just drop a line in. Oh, did I cut out? Okay. Just, I want you guys to go look at your last couple of posts, pick a line, whether it is a hook that you feel was the boldest or a line in your caption that you're like, okay, maybe this was hiding in the caption, and drop it in the chat. We're going to work on them together. Yesterday, my hook was, you're not waiting on God, you're avoiding the work. Ooh. Ooh. I like it. I'm going to pull it up so I can get the context. Oh my God. Okay. The second slide already is your hooks. Like it doesn't have to be, there's two, right? Like you've been praying for overflow. Let's be so for real. You've actually just been playing it safe. Like you say it's God's timing, but really it's fear wearing a faith hoodie. That is a full on call out, right? Like you're not waiting on God, you're avoiding the work is really strong. But like what you've already said in here, like a second slide, I'm just like, oh, this is so good. I like you say it's God. You say you're leaving it up to God's timing, but that's an easy cop out for playing it safe. That's what I would say. I didn't get to read the whole post, but fire. That would be like, oh my God. Okay. What else we have? You're playing small, keeping prices low with the premise of keeping it accessible. Okay, let me pull it up. Where did it go? Oh, is this on Facebook, not Instagram, probably? Or maybe it's a line from this. Sorry, I'm looking. It's a line inside. Okay. Let me look at it again. You're playing small, keeping prices low with the premise of keeping it accessible. Okay, what is it costing them? Because we have a belief flip right here with the whole keeping it accessible thing, by keeping prices low. So what is it costing them? Because then you can call that out. When you grow up managing other people's emotions, building a business feels easy. What's the point? I'm going to look it up. Is this a story, Kayla? It was a reel. Yeah, sorry, I meant like a story about you, but now I'm going to find it anyway. Oh, you sent it. Yay. Okay, got it. When you grow up managing other people's emotions, building a business feels terrifying, but healing. Oh, okay. Okay. So really what you're talking about is like the person, this is where we got to get clear with like the through line. Why is this valuable to me to know as your ideal client? Okay. So it is a good point, but what's the point under the point? Like, why is this valuable for me to know? Well, like this person, she grew up managing other people's emotions, and that like business is actually so fucking easy. The reason it feels hard to you is because you grew up managing your entire family's emotions, and now it feels like you're doing that for thousands of people on the internet, right? Like that's different, right? That's a different positioning that goes, whoa. And you go ahead and you just tell your story too in there. But like, we got to get to that point. Where are we? Okay, Kayla, I'm going to open up the chat bigger, guys, so I can see you. There we go. Okay. Kayla, did you hear that? You can watch the replay too. Scrolling. Okay. Okay. You're filtering your voice so you don't scare people off. You're softening your power so you don't seem too much. You're tiptoeing your full expression, but you say you're ready for fifth. Okay. Okay. I mean, 50K months, but they're still like playing it safe. But like when you say things like filtering your voice, softening your power, tiptoeing around your full expression, the brain goes, I don't fucking care because that is way too vague for me. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay? So when you do that, I'm going to try and find it on your feed. Okay. It's probably too much scrolling for me. But when we're doing this, it's like, okay, this person says she's trying to call in 50K plus months. What's the actual call out? Okay. Oh, in a caption. Okay, cool. So you're trying, I don't know if it's like manifestation. Yeah. Okay. You're trying to manifest $50,000 months and you're being a bad bitch in your content, but you won't even tell your client. Like, think of some truth that she's not telling her client. The reason you haven't manifested $50,000 months is because like you're a spice level 10 in your content, but when one person tells you they can't afford your offer in the DMs, you run a flash sale over the weekend. Like, what is she doing? Right? Like, what does this mean? Filtering my voice, softening my power, tiptoeing around my fullest expression. So this person's scared. So maybe she's not being spicy in her content, but like, what is she, excuse me, what is she actually doing? Is she playing victim in her life and then wanting to manifest $50,000 in her business? What's that look like? Right? Call out the actual specific contrast. It's going to be so much more powerful. I'd be interested to know what the hook is of that piece of content too. Well, yeah, specific, but like this doesn't mean anything to me as your ideal client because, yeah, like you're being a wuss, but where? Where am I being a wuss? Am I being a wuss in my content? Like, am I saying like, you know, I've been there. I've been you. I've felt this way. Don't worry. But like, this is how you XYZ. But then I'm also trying to manifest $50,000 months and I'm scared to actually tell people the truth. Like what, right? So what's really going on here that we can speak to in the hook, even in the content? Because even in the caption, it's fluffy. It's going to lose me. Right. But if you speak to the thing where I am being the identity of the person that does not have 50K months and I want to be the identity of the person who does, where's the disconnect for me, right? You're not scared of selling. You're scared they'll buy it and still not get results. So good. I know who all your mentors are. Okay. But here's the thing. Okay. So another way, Lauren, like you're not scared of selling. You're scared they'll buy and still not get results. Okay. Yeah, that's a good call out. I think the other thing would be like, what is scared of selling to this person? So like, are they just they're like scared of being sleazy by selling every day? But really, it's the fact that they're terrified people will actually fucking buy and not get results? Or is it that they like what's the story around scared of selling? Even deeper with that, like so good, right? You could just say, scared of selling. Okay. It's like maybe they want to scared people will buy and feel responsible. Yeah, of course. That's a great call out. But it's just like the scared of selling part, right? We've already called that out. What's the contrast? So if you guys have two of those concepts in a hook and you call it out, like this is what you're saying the problem is, but this is the actual problem. And when you can get very specific on both. So scared of selling, like like you're saying you sold enough this week, or like you're like dropping the link for your offer once every 3 days because you don't want it to be too much for your audience. But the truth is, you're just terrified people will actually buy and not get results, right? Like, what is that part that they're scared of selling? Excuses versus what they're actually scared of. You make it so much more potent. Okay. So you guys get the gist. This is, you have it all in your content. It's all right there. Okay. We could go through it together. Get in VIP if you want to do this with me every single day this week. But every hook that you make could be stronger, and you want to actually make sure that the point is there. So a lot of people, yeah, I'll share the VIP link in the Telegram after this, you guys, okay? A lot of people, what they do is they'll try to like tease something, and I'll do this on occasion and it's almost always with story, okay? But most times people get it wrong because they'll like tease something, and it's like people don't even understand what the point is in the first place, so they're not going to read. And I see this a lot in content. When I do some more audits this week, you guys are going to see what I mean by this. I want you to give me the flip, the switch, the pattern interrupt, the reframe, the identity call out. Give it to me in the hook. Do not make me read. Our brains are lazy. We're scrolling. If we have to read to get the point, we don't read the post. So don't be scared of putting the shit in the actual hook. This is how you're going to get people, okay? And get as specific as you can with what this really looks like for them. Because if you're like, you're softening, Michelle, not to, people do this all the time, right? Like you're softening your voice, you're like not being your fullest expression, but you still want this thing. What do you mean by that? Like, I won't like literally call out my client that hasn't paid for 3 days. Like I won't even send them an email because I'm scared. Like, but then I want to manifest $20,000 months. Yeah, right. So like that's the dissonance right there. Don't those are two different hooks that are going to get two different types of attention. And if you guys aren't having the conversions, it's one or the other. Your captions don't actually have the juice. The movie wasn't worth the ticket, or the actual retention of attention isn't there. We fix this. Okay. And your content is an ecosystem. So as you fix it all across the board, it gets easier for people to move in and buy right from, oh, I read this piece, this piece, this piece. I'm certain like I'm in, right? Okay. Oh my God, Jessica, hurry up. Okay. So where am I? This week, this is what we're doing. Okay. Every single day in our group chat, I'm going to just drop you guys like a prompt for chokehold hooks or a caption. I'm going to give you actual examples from my feed of these types of content or like these types of hooks that really get attention, retention, conversion, attention, retention, conversion. Okay. And what I'm going to have you do is literally drop a link to a post that you're created or just the hook that you've come up with based on the prompt into the chat every day. And then whoever's like gunning for it, I will sneak in and give you a little bit of feedback, but what you're going to do is be able to see everyone else applying this and implementing it. And I will obviously give you tools in the audios so that you can do this as well in your copy. If you guys want me to specifically work with you on this the next 5 days together, like today through to Sunday, get in the VIP channel because I'm pretty sure there's not too many of us in there. Which means that you're going to have that one-to-one. We're going to go back and forth on the hooks, the content. I'm going to be able to actually audit and look at stuff. And those of you guys who drop in your hooks in your content as we go over the next 4 or 5 days, if you do it every day, I have a special little gift for you on Sunday, okay? That you're definitely going to want to get your hands on. So this is to encourage you to commit to actually pushing the envelope for yourself, pushing that edge. Okay, I want you guys to literally go like, this is my option. What's scarier? People on the internet, I know it can be scary, but this is why you're in a space with all of us doing the same thing. Or literally not making the money, having the business, living the life that I literally dream of. Okay. Like which one are we going to play with this week? Like how feral can you go? Can you go psycho? Right. And I have those wobbles I shared with you on the weekend where like someone came for me and I was like, am I wrong? Oh God, am I just being an asshole? Like it doesn't mean that you don't feel that. You just stay in the identity. Okay, you hold. And we're in a space where I'm going to encourage you to fucking do this. It's going to change your life. You want results that other people on the internet do not get. I don't care how many people you follow. Stop consuming. There are not a lot of people making that much money, having the success that you want in this. I promise you, 75% of them are fucking blowing smoke up your ass. Okay. You want extraordinary, different results. Be an extraordinary person that says things other people are not willing to say. That's why you're here, right? That's why you're in this program. That's why you found me. Okay. I want, yes. How feral can you go? That is the question. I like literally, I will create a award for whoever goes the most psychotic this week. And then make sure you drop in. Yes. Blinders on, psycho content, full send. We love, I love it. Yeah. Challenge accepted. I love this. I love teaching on this. And this was, yeah, most feral award. We're going to do it. Fuck yeah. I'm not even kidding you guys. Okay. Because I want you to push your edge. And it doesn't like you can do this a little bit more every single day, or you can just come out the gate like a spicy psycho. I don't care. I'm going to drop in a prompt for you. A what? Prompt for you today. Yeah, I'm just reading. Okay. I get so distracted by all you guys in the chat. And then we're going to just let loose this week. And it's not, do not wobble if people don't react. If you don't get a fucking like on a, I feel like I'll give you an example of this, okay? Because this is so hard to teach on this when there's such a mindset and a mentality behind it, you guys, that you have to be so locked in on, right? That's why this is important to be in spaces like this. Please do not wobble. Please do not backtrack. There is no archiving allowed. Okay. Because what will happen is like we'll come out the gate like this, and then you'll be like, oh my God, people aren't responding, and I feel like I'm out here just like on an island by myself. You're not, you're with all of us doing this, but I'm telling you, like, I had reels and posts this week. My insights are down. Like, I don't really look or care, but there's lots of carousel posts that I have that have like 3 fucking likes on them, you guys. Like 3 likes. Okay. May, in and of itself, without counting my new sales, just current sales in my containers, has been 65,000. And I have more on the other side of new sales this month. Do not fucking give a shit how people engage with this content. I'm telling you, when you're brave enough to be out there on the island, not looking for validation, people will hire you that don't even follow you, that do not like your shit, that don't even have never conversed with you in the DMs. Okay. Your clients will double down as well when you show up like this in the leadership energy. Okay. I got to bounce too. Love you guys. This is fire. Okay. So I love that the challenge has been accepted. And yes, I will maybe drop some details on the prizes and awards as we go through this week, but make sure you fucking show up for yourself. Okay. This is for you. I can't make anybody do this. Okay. Feral bitches unite. We're going to break and I will see you in the chat. Okay. And I'll drop the VIP link in there because if you want in, you got to get in today. Okay. Bye, ladies. This was so much fun.